friends, welcome back to another video in the shop with the Shorty build. If you've been following along, we have been working on this bad boy, getting it up and running. It's not quite driving yet, but we are in hot pursuit of wrapping this project up. There's still a lot of miscellaneous things that we need to do to this truck. Some stuff in the engine bay, some suspension stuff, some drivetrain stuff, some wiring stuff. So my goal is to kind of take you guys with me through the entire progress, show everything, show all the little details. We got a table full of parts that we still need to get to. So we're just gonna dive in and just keep tackling the work until it's done, till it's driving down the road, till we're having some fun with it. That is my goal. Before we get into that, guys, shameless plug of the video, Wrenchworks giveaway number 15 officially live. Every dollar that you spend on wrenchworks.com gets you entered to win automatically this truck plus the 10 grand that it comes with. I'm telling you guys, this is my favorite truck that we have ever built here. It is so unique. It is so cool. Super stick billet G56 transmission. Does it get any better? 4-door, long bed, prairie pearl paint. Like, it is insane. It's so nice to drive. It's got a bunch of power. The underneath, the top to bottom, this truck is so sick, and you guys are gonna absolutely love it. It is going to one of you guys at the end of February just by grabbing a new t-shirt, a new hat. It doesn't matter. Anything on the website automatically gets you entered to win this truck. You can't win if you don't get entered. Go to wrenchworks.com, guys. Shameless plug. I know, but guys, I'm telling you, I'm so pumped. You guys, this truck, it doesn't do it justice. You guys are gonna absolutely love this truck. So make sure you guys go get entered. Appreciate you guys all. Let's jump into what we have in store for the Shorty for tonight. We're gonna jump into the engine bay first, and we've got some sensors that we are gonna be upgrading to make sure this thing is operating and running the best it possibly can. So let's start with these two sensors right here. Well, a sensor and a relief valve. So S&S Diesel Motorsports, we've got a upgraded rail pressure sensor. Pretty self-explanatory. Gonna be able to let us read precise rail pressure above our factory sensor. So it is a upgraded sensor that's going to read higher than your factory rail pressure sensor. Next up, pressure relief valve. Guys, do me a favor. Do not cap your relief valve. Don't do it. Run an upgraded relief valve. Your injectors will thank you. This is going to kind of combo with this pair right here, and if we're going to run higher rail pressure, we need to have a relief valve that is going to allow us to do that and dump off pressure if we need to. So they pair together, reads higher rail pressure, relieves higher rail pressure if needed. Highly recommend if you're going to be bumping things up, having some fun, and getting the most out of your setup. So S&S Diesel Motorsports taking care of that. The guys over at Hardway Performance, this is their upgraded 10-bar map sensor. So highly recommend this. I know a lot of you guys are running over factory boost levels. What that sensor is going to do, and it's the sensor that is in your intake horn, right here, if I could see it, there it is right here. Can't do it with one hand. The sensor that's in your intake horn, that is going to read your boost. The sensor from the guys over at Hardway is going to precisely measure boost and also temperature. So when you guys are pushing the limits, you're gonna wanna upgrade that sensor as well. So the guys over at Hardway have come out with that sensor for 6.7s and 5.9s. Highly recommend checking that out. We're gonna be replacing that as well. Now this does require some tweaking, and the guys over at Hardway are gonna kind of take care of that with this truck completely, get their sensor running right, and make sure that we can read high boost and also temperature in this sensor as well. So this is a really, really cool custom sensor they just came out with. Go check them out. But again, just want to make sure that the truck can run peak performance, and we can monitor everything, and everything is in control. So very important kind of setup stuff for your truck if you're going to be pushing a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and replace those sensors. We need to go ahead and remove our intake horn and replace this sensor. Your relief valve is in the front part of this rail, and your rail pressure sensor is in the back part of the rail. So I'm going to try and leave the rail in place, and we'll just go ahead and remove this bad boy out of the way and get that done. And then we can kind of get into the rest of what's on this table. A whole bunch of goodies from the guys over at CJC Off-Road and Carly. Steering stabilizer, new front shocks. But take a look at these control arms. Oh my goodness, boys. So we got a lot of work to still do on this beast. I'm not quite happy with the way that it is sitting right now. It just looks like it's still very four-wheel drive-ish. It still looks like it's got a lift kit on it. We need to try and get this bad boy down a little bit more. So still a lot of work to do, but can't do that if we're talking. So let's just get to work on this unit. Set with our sensor replacement. Like I mentioned before, guys, the one in the front here got our intake horn off. That is the pressure relief valve. The one right in the front, no way to get to that without taking the intake horn off. So pressure relief valve is in there, and our new rail pressure sensor all the way in the back of the fuel rail is in. Left the fuel rail in place. It's kind of nice with it kind of fastened to the intake shelf. You can kind of get at it pretty easily. The front one's very easy, but it does allow it to kind of get torqued down nicely. I would say that the back one, as far as getting it torqued to spec, the kind of cheat code behind that is getting a torque wrench with a swivel head, and you'll be able to do that much easier. So you can torque them in the truck without taking the fuel rail completely out. So those are done. And then also we have our new 10-bar map sensor, again from the guys over at Hardway. Again, if you guys are running a build that's going to be running higher than factory boost levels and you want the best for your truck as far as performance goes, getting the most out of it, highly recommend you go ahead and pick one of these bad boys up. It's on their website, Hardway Performance, and they have them for 6.7s and 5.9s are inbound as well. So highly recommend that if you're serious about making some power. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and put the intake horn back on, and then we can move on to the next. We actually went ahead and kind of gotten some suspension stuff done. We'll go over that, but gonna go ahead and button this back up, and honestly, we are getting very close. Well, my friends, we have a lot of catching up to do. We've got a lot of parts here on the table that have come in for the Shorty build. We're actually a few days later than the work that we performed in the first half of this video, so I actually have to kind of catch up myself and catch you guys up as well. We have got our sensors in the engine. Those are complete. Those are done. We fired the truck up, make sure there's no leaks as of right now. We want to see what it does with some higher rail pressure as far as making sure all of those sensors and everything are sealed up and good to go. Got the suspension set up looking right on this thing. Trust me when I tell you, on this specific truck, we're not going to go any lower without cutting a whole lot of stuff out of this thing. So it had fire punk lowering coils in it. I believe we took like a wrap and 3/4 off the bottom of those coils, on top of them already being lower coils. So we've got our Carly control arms in, and my goodness, if you guys see the look that we're going for with the black and machined wheels, with the control arms, with the reservoir shocks here, you guys can see that's all mounted, that's all done, that is complete. You can see the amount of room that we really don't have in between right here. This thing is pretty low. Definitely would not recommend going this low on something that you're going to drive quite frequently, but we're willing to risk it for the biscuit on this toy project, so to say. But we are low. We're all set there. We went ahead and dropped the rear down a little bit more. Really, I believe they're factory length shocks in the back, and I wanted to do reservoirs in the front to match, and that's why we kind of put the shock towers back in. Shock towers aren't really my favorite thing in the world, but when you do delete plates and go this low, it's such a short distance with the shock height that you're like, I put the towers back in so we get a shock that actually had some travel to it up and down. So the reservoirs do that very, very well. We might actually upgrade to something even crazier down the road, but for now, these look absolutely killer. Modified up some brackets so the reservoirs kind of sit right there, right in front of the tower. I'm really happy with the way that everything is coming together and looking. We've got it up on our jacks because it's way easier to work on some of the wiring and the drive shaft stuff. So we've got a lot of parts. Let's get into the parts before we just kind of keep knocking out work on this thing. That's what we want to do. We want to get to some more work on this bad boy. So there's a couple miscellaneous paint match pieces that were still left on this truck. We went ahead and dropped those off to our man Cam at Knockout Customs. He's going to knock out that stuff. Again, we're in preparation to get this thing ready to party at Lone Star Throwdown here in a few short weeks, if not less, by the time we have this video up. But anyway, because we lowered the back so much as well, our Calvert Racing CalTrack traction bar system, our bars that came with the kit, because they're set up for something that's a little bit higher, were too long. So we went ahead, we ordered some new bars. If you guys run into that issue or anything similar, these guys are actually really, really awesome. They have tons of different length bars that will kind of accommodate for any changes that you're doing if you're running a CalTrack kit. So went ahead and got a little bit shorter bars. Got an upper coolant pipe from the guys over at Joy Designs. As you can see, there's actually two pipes in here. So want to kind of give you guys a little heads up on something like this. If you guys have a fleece coolant bypass that looks similar to this, you're going to want to remember that when you order an upper coolant pipe from a bunch of different guys that make these, because what you'll end up with is a pipe that kind of looks like this, and it's all tilted and angled down. This pipe was actually designed for a coolant neck without a riser plate in it, so it sits a little lower, and this pipe aligns a lot better. Now, seeing that we have that there, we went ahead and got a pipe that's got a bend like this to kind of account for that. So we should be good with that. We're gonna go ahead and install that. So we've got CalTrack bars to install, upper coolant pipe, stainless diesel intercooler boots. These are nice. I like these because they are 4 inches long as opposed to a 3-inch long boot. These are super, super heavy duty. These two boots right here are just kind of like really, really old. I wanted to upgrade them, get some new clamps just to make sure we don't have any issues. These are nice, heavy duty from the guys over at Stainless Diesel. The other side is all Van-Gen clamps, so we don't have to really worry about that. So we've got some intercooler boots. We actually already installed this on this truck, but I will show you guys over at Flying Diesel Performance. So what this is a flexible engine dipstick for your engine oil, and I went ahead and already started to kind of install this, but your metal dipstick tube that kind of comes up top over here, just kind of a little bit of an eyesore. So we went ahead and got these. These are some really, really nice, like stainless braided. We can hide that really, really nicely. That's for the engine oil. And they make ones for the transmission. We've used the ones for transmission as well on the 05. So this is a flexible locking dipstick for your engine oil. That's a mouthful, but that's from the guys over at Flying Diesel Performance. You guys can go check them out. Shafts, we've got our shaft man. We've got DNR Customs coming in clutch with front and rear drive shafts for the Shorty. One of the main reasons why this entire truck came apart and forever ago was we were fighting a drivetrain vibration. Now, we took the front drive shaft out on the way home with even just picking this thing up. It got a way better. We still had a little bit in the rear. We've changed so much. I was like, you know what? Let's just get new drive shafts. Derek there and the guys there at DNR Customs, if you guys need drive shafts and you don't have a local place that can accommodate like what these Dodge Ram trucks are, those guys have shafts like in stock, nice front drive shafts, and the rear drive shaft had to get made, and I'm pretty sure they made it in like a day or two and to my door like within the same week. So very easy to deal with. Get some measurements. He knows, he's very familiar with these Dodge Ram trucks. If you guys need drive shafts, highly recommend you don't even waste your time with anybody else on drive shafts with these trucks. Just call Derek, call the shop, call DNR Customs, get drive shafts ordered. He can basically do anything, because I'm pretty sure we've got like some really cool 5-inch aluminum one for the rear and then a heavy duty one for the front. Front drive shafts wreck these trucks. Transfer cases, I'm sure everybody has seen or knows somebody, they are bad about front drive shafts. So I'm hoping that takes care of our drivetrain vibration issue. I'm hoping it's not anything to do with the transfer case or further up in the transmission or anything like that, but we've got drive shafts to put in to make sure that we can kind of like go through the paces and hopefully check that off the list. So we've got those. Also, what we've been lacking as well is we need a overflow for our coolant. This is from the guys over at Motion Raceworks, and that's an extra dipstick tube for that truck, and we've actually got an extra overflow for that truck as well. But the nice thing about these is actually they label this being used for the transmission or coolant, but you can use this as an overflow, or you can kind of like pipe it in the bottom and you can use it as a reservoir. It's got a couple different options, and it should be really versatile, and it should work extremely well for what we're doing. And we'll be able to run AN lines that give you the NPT thread adapters and all that stuff. So we'll be able to kind of mount that. Looks sleek, it's nice, it's billet, it's just really nice looking. So we'll go ahead and install that. So yeah, we're closing in on a lot of progress on the Shorty. I know that was kind of long-winded catch-up, but hopefully that has some valuable information on where some of the parts are coming from, why we deal with these people, how they're applicable to this truck, and let's just get rolling with the progress on getting this thing done. All right, so before we slap these beautiful shafts in the truck, I just felt like it was pretty necessary to show you guys what they looked like before you can't see them underneath that low thing. So we called Derek up and we told him what we were doing. We measured how he wanted us to measure them. He gave us some options. He's got plenty of different front drive shaft options. I believe this is a 1410 joint unit. Super beefy. He even has them for even stronger than that. Drag racing, sled pulling, whole 9 yards. Kind of gave him some measurements on the rear. It's pretty funny how the front shaft on this truck is maybe just as long, or because of how short it is. It's pretty funny. But anyway, aluminum 5-inch in the back. She is a unit and a half, let me tell you what. But we're getting ready to put these things in, but I was like, you know what? You're never going to see them again underneath that thing because it's so low. But new front drive shaft, new rear drive shaft, and here we go. Guys, real quick before we close this video out, we are again a few days later after the last little bit of work that we did, but we've got our headlights wired up, and my goodness, they are absolutely insane. They're not actually fitted up in there because I've had the fenders off because I refused, after all of the work hiding all the wires in this truck, to not hide the wires for the headlights. So we actually ended up taking the fenders, headlights completely out because I hid all of the wiring right on the other side of that kind of like front main support there, so you can't actually really see anything looking in here. A lot of times when you get headlights and you got to mount boxes and stuff, we mount them here and stuff like that, which is great. But on this thing, went the extra mile, hit all the wires, extended everything so you couldn't really see anything. So we just have to kind of like remount the fenders and the headlights, and then that will be done as well. Guys, I promise you, this will be the last video on the Shorty in the shop before we're actually driving it. The next video, I don't care. We will be driving this truck. We will be using this truck. We are very, very, very close. We've gotten a lot of work done. Last thing before we go, we close this video, guys, out. Make sure you guys go to wrenchworks.com and grab some entries for the Green Bean, our latest giveaway truck, which is coming to a close at the end of this month. Make sure you guys go do that. Support your boys, support the channel. We'll see you guys in the next video very, very soon. See ya.